it was a real death match between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. And when Clinton finally got the nomination, Sanders, for the sake of party loyalty, which was probably secondary, the primary concern was the election of this pig Trump. Sanders' full-throated endorsement of Hillary Clinton. He stumped for her. He went on the campaign trail for her. After fighting like a crazy man to get the nomination himself, when Hillary Clinton got it, Bernie Sanders rose to the occasion and went to work for Hillary. Now, here we are, 4 years later, and Democrats don't agree on a lot of stuff these days, which is typical of Democrats. I'm not a Democrat, but I can say we because I used to be. Were the party of arguing and dissension, and from the hard left to the moderate center to the conservative right within the framework of the Democratic Party. That's who we were. And that's what gave the Democratic life and energy. However, if we don't agree on much these days, there is something on which every Democrat, every liberal, I think, is in full agreement. And that's the defeat of the Antichrist, this evil fucker who occupies the White House. We want to beat Donald Trump. The survival of the republic depends on it. So it's no help to the cause when we listen to Hillary Clinton disparage other Democrats and tries to shatter party unity based on her own festering resentment. Now, Mara Gay, who is a member of the editorial board at the New York Times, wrote this piece. Nobody likes him, Mrs. Clinton said of Senator Sanders in a new documentary, according to The Hollywood Reporter. Nobody wants to work with him. He got nothing done. He was a career politician. She's good. It's all just baloney, and I feel so bad that people got sucked into it. That'll play very nicely in a Trump campaign ad if Bernie Sanders wins the Democratic nomination. Worse, Clinton declined to commit to campaigning for Sanders or even supporting him if he wins the nomination. In that interview with The Hollywood Reporter, she said, quote, "I'm not going to go there yet. We're still in a very vigorous primary season." As one of Bernie's younger supporters might say, wow, rude. Mara Gay writes, listen, I get it. It must be hard after a bitter defeat that kept her from being the country's first female president, to see her former rival rise in the polls, beloved by his supporters. But consider the stakes. It'd be best if Mrs. Clinton worked through all that on her own. It wasn't so long ago that Mrs. Clinton made similarly pointless comments suggesting that another Democrat in the race, Representative Tulsi Gabbard, was the favored candidate of the Russians. All that did was help Ms. Gabbard, who some have feared might wage an independent campaign in November. Tulsi Gabbard's relevance was briefly inflated by what Hillary Clinton said. If interest in Hillary Clinton is high enough to warrant a documentary, fine. But in the middle of a presidential campaign, does she need to be so disturbing? Well, let me digress from the editorial. This has always been Hillary Clinton. Now, without trying to sound arrogant or condescending, I do feel kind of sorry for her because she's had to endure what a lot of women have to endure, and that is a husband who has a sexual relation with somebody other than his wife while she was the First Lady of the United States. That's got to be rough. It's hard enough to deal with marital infidelity privately, but to be the president of the wife of the president, and to see pictures of an attractive young woman who was giving your husband blowjobs, that has got to be difficult. Kathy, is that the right word? Difficult? Huh? That would suck? Sting. Oh, yeah, it would. And then her defeat. So, okay, I have been more than willing to do an "Oh, poor Hillary." But I really do believe after her long political career, in which she says that Bernie Sanders has been a career politician, what the fuck has Hillary Clinton been? I mean, she was on the Watergate committee, for Christ's sake. 1973. Do you know how long ago that was? Back to Mara Gay, writing for the editorial board of the New York Times. She writes, quote, "It wasn't so long ago that Mrs. Clinton made similarly pointless comments suggesting..." Oh, I read that. And Mara goes on here. "And as a reminder, after the 26th Democratic Convention, Mr. Sanders campaigned vigorously for Mrs. Clinton. He said at the time, quote, 'We have to do everything that we can to elect Secretary Clinton.' He roared that to crowds while stumping for in North Carolina days before the election." The New Yorker reported at the time, quote, "Sanders has been one of the real champions of the Hillary Clinton campaign." It's not really too much to ask Mrs. Clinton to return the favor, or if that's too hard, to stay out of the primary contest entirely. That's not because it's the gracious thing to do, though it is the gracious thing to do. It's because an electoral victory by Mr. Trump, as Sanders has made clear when he campaigned for Hillary Clinton, would be too much for the country to bear. So, no, I don't understand why Hillary Clinton doesn't just STFU. Oh, wait, I know why. It's because we live in a horribly sexist society and men are evil and, she was supposed to be the first woman president, and yeah, I know. And all of that may be true, but to put it rather bluntly and without a whole lot of pity, she had her chance. And I realize she won the popular vote by 3 million votes. But her campaign's treatment of Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Illinois, I'm not sure. No, that she didn't lose that state. Her campaign's treatment of these key electoral vote states probably had something to do with her losing. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. You have your choice. You can listen to the ranting with the audio podcast or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.